What's good, YouTube? It's KB with Just Do Boxing, back with another video. Today we got some interesting news. It's the return of Mr. Gary Russell Jr. versus Magnifico Mark Magsayo. Gary Russell coming into the fight, 5'4.5", 64-inch reach, 32 years old. Mark Magsayo, 5'6", 68-inch reach, 26 years old. He's 6 years younger than Russell. So we'll see if that plays a factor. Let's get into the fight, man. The last fight for Gary Russell was back in February 8th of 2020 against then undefeated King Tugstot He didn't fight. Gary Russell didn't fight the entire 2021. And he's been very inactive since about 2014. And reason I brought up 2014 because that was the last time that he fought more than once. You know, he fought 3 times that year, picking up a knockout win over Jose Miguel Tamayo. And he lost his first and only fight in his career to Vasily High-Tech Lomachenko in the same year. But he closed that year out strong with a unanimous decision win over Christopher Martin. And just a quick note, even though he lost to Lomachenko, he definitely had some issues there, some hydration issues. I believe he was dehydrated for that fight, but that's another topic for another video. And had Gary Russell been afforded his knockdown, that fight with Lomachenko would have been most likely a draw. But nonetheless, Lomachenko got the win, and Gary Russell moved on. And like I say, picked up a unanimous decision win against Christopher Martin at the end of the year. But since 2014, like I said, Gary Russell's been very inactive, only fighting once a year. I mean, he missed the entire 2020, like I said earlier. And by the time he steps in the ring, January 22nd, which is the target date for him and Magsayo, by the time he steps in the ring, he's going to be almost 2 years that he's been out of the ring, which could possibly lead to some ring rust. You know, come fight night, we going to see. I mean, some deciding factors in this fight remains to be seen, but Gary Russell got a few things going against him. One being inactivity, ring rust, and father time, and they could all come to play a factor in the fight. But we just gonna have to wait and see, because I also believe Gary Russell is a special talent. So I think, regardless of his inactivity, he'll find a way to do good regardless. And it's not like he took major punishment in his career or anything like that. So his biggest issue, like I said, has been getting fights and getting a chance to be in the ring more than once per year. Like I said, only fighting, 2014 being the last year, he had multiple fights and he fought 3 times that year. And like I said, it's been 1 fight per year since then. And on top of that, he missed the entire 2021. So we'll see how much of a factor his inactivity plays come fight night. And Magsayo coming into the fight undefeated, 23-0, 16 KOs. Like I said, he's 6 years younger, about an inch and a half taller, 4-inch reach advantage. So he has that going for him, but we'll see if that's a factor or not. And like I said, he's been a much more active fighter, fighting at least twice a year, with the exception of 2020, where he only fought once, most likely due to social distancing, having no fans in the arenas. He fought twice this year. He picked up a TKO victory over 21-3 Pablo Cruz, and a KO victory against a 32-4-1 Julio Ceja back in August. And as I mentioned earlier, he's been a lot more busy, a lot more active. And by the time fight night comes, it'll only be a little over 4 months since he fought. So that's good for him. Being the younger man, the more active man. We'll see if he's able to take advantage of that come fight night. And Magsayo's coming into this fight with youth, activity on his side, and maybe a slight edge in power. But we'll see if that's enough to dethrone the longest reigning active champion in boxing today. Gary Russell has been the WBC featherweight champion since 2015 when he brutally knocked out Johnny Gonzalez in March of that year. So pretty much Russell has been the man at featherweight. He's been a champion for almost going on 7 years. And he's had a lot of trouble, a lot of issue getting fights. Some people has avoided him. Maybe some fights that just fell out for one reason or another. But finally, January 22nd, we got a fight date. And I expect this fight to be entertaining. I mean, you got the classic, you know, boxer versus a puncher, and I always say styles make fights. And, Gary Russell definitely has the speed advantage. He got some of the fastest hands in boxing. He has solid, good power. And he's just a high level, high IQ boxer. And I think it's going to take more than, power and youth, to beat him. Magsayo was going to really have to, you know, bring his A game, because we all know, as I said, Gary Russell only had the one loss to Lomachenko, and even that was a majority decision. And he hasn't lost since. And since his loss to Lomachenko, he's gotten considerably better. So it's going to be interesting to see how this fight plays out. Magsayo, like I say, he's a young guy, throws a lot of punches, real strong. But, Gary has experience on his side, and even though he's been inactive, he hasn't been in any wars where he took and sustained a bunch of punishments. So even though he's 32 and inactive, he's a young 32, so to speak, in boxing, because he just don't have the wear and tear. So maybe the inactivity could be a blessing in disguise for him. Maybe he comes out and he's sharper than ever. I mean, who knows? It remains to be seen. Gonna have to wait to January 22nd to find out. So we're gonna see who's able to pull off the victory. I'm leaning towards Gary Russell in this fight. Like I said, experience, IQ, speed, amazing speed. I think it could be a tough fight, but it's a fight I definitely expect him to win. Definitely, especially if Gary Russell has any plans, as was rumored or being reported, that Gary Russell Jr. and Gervonta Tank Davis possible fight is in talks. So, if and we all know Gary Russell, he been calling out Tank for a couple years now. So, maybe he might get his wish, and maybe he might get the fight that he's looking for. I mean, I definitely would pay for a fight of Gary Russell versus Tank. I mean, that's fire. That fight to sell itself. If you know Gary Russell and you know Tank, that fight will sell itself, and it'll be very entertaining. And it's something that I truly hope happens. I hope to see Gary Russell get past Mark Magsayo, because I would definitely like to see Mr. Gary Russell versus Gervonta Tank Davis. I mean, that would be a very entertaining fight, and it'll be a great test for young Tank Davis to see just exactly where he's at. So that's my thoughts. Y'all get in the comment section, don't forget to subscribe, comment, jump in the comment section. As always, y'all let me know if I gave Mr. Gary Russell Jr. and Mark Magsayo their just due, because that's what I do over here, just do boxing. Until then, I'm on to the next one. Peace.